Okay, so we're going to convert rectangular graphs or equations into polar forms. So this is just a vertical line on the Cartesian plane, and it'll also just be a vertical line on the polar plane. It's just obviously going to be a different form because polar has the r and theta are its two parameters. So x is equal to 4, and we have our three different basic equations that we'll be working with here. Since x is equal to r cosine theta, so that means we replace x with r cosine theta, so that's r cosine theta is equal to 4. And you typically, or if possible, you solve for r and get r all by itself. So in this case, we want to move the cosine over here, so we're going to divide by cosine. And we get r is equal to 4 over cosine theta. So just keep in mind that, again, this is just a vertical line on the Cartesian plane, and this is also a vertical line on the polar plane. It's just in a different form with different parameters, radius, and the angle theta. So again, here is a line on the Cartesian plane. We're just going to write it in polar form. So we're just going to use the two basic substitutions that x is r cosine theta and y is r sine theta. So we have 5x cosine theta minus 2 r sine theta equals 1. I don't know why there's an x there. That's an r. And we want to solve for r if possible. Usually it's possible. And get theta on the other side. So in this case, I'm going to factor out an r. So I have 5 cosine theta minus 2 sine theta equals 1. And dividing both sides by 5 cosine theta minus 2 sine theta. Forgot that 2 there. So my final answer is r is equal to 5 cosine theta minus 2 sine theta. So a simple line, 5x minus 2y equals 1 on the Cartesian plane, is a little more unattractive. In the polar form, 1 over 5 cosine theta minus 2 sine theta. So in this case, we have x squared plus y squared. Ding, 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 ding. That's that guy right there. So x squared plus y squared is r squared. So this is r squared is equal to 49. So that means r is equal to plus or minus 7. Traditionally, the answer is just r equals 7, because if you think on the polar plane, it doesn't matter what, you don't have any angle. It's just a radius of 7. So that means all your points are just going to be around the circle at 7. And there's really no difference between 7 and negative 7, because negative 7 just means you find the point in the angle and then you just go the opposite direction 180 degrees away, so it'd still be the same thing. So traditionally, this is the solution, but even though that's the same answer right there, usually just give the positive answer. So again, I see r squared, again this x squared and y squared, but I have this 7x over here. So first thing I'm going to factor out a 3, so I get x squared plus y squared is equal to negative 7, and x is equal to r cosine theta. So this x squared plus y squared is r squared, so this is 3r squared is equal to negative 7r cosine theta. And then what I'm going to do is, since I have an extra r on each side, I'm going to divide both sides by r, which is legal. So that's 3r is equal to negative 7 cosine theta. And if I divide by 3, I get negative 7/3 cosine theta. So that's something to keep in mind when you're converting from rectangular to polar, is if you have an extra r and you can divide by that r, it's always a good idea to reduce it down, because alternatively I could have moved this negative 7r cosine theta over and then factored an r out, and then it would have been a little more unattractive. This is a much more concise and quick to the point answer. Okay, so lastly, this one here, a couple different ways we could attack this. I'm going to multiply this x minus 6. So this is y squared plus x squared minus 12x plus 36 equals 0. And oops, equals 36. We fix that. So we have x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So we have r squared minus, this is r cosine theta, so 12r cosine theta. And these two 36's are going to cancel. So that's going to be equal to 0. So again, if I can get rid of an r, I will. So I'm going to do r squared and move that 12r over. So 12r cosine theta, and if I divide by r, I get r equals 12 cosine theta. So there's the way to represent. So notice this is a circle with center at 6, 0 and a radius of 6. So we've all seen circles like that before, and this is just the polar form, which is, to me, is a little easier, a little nicer to look at.